And there we go.
Cool. I'm just giving my YouTube time to catch up. All right.
There it is.
Alrighty. Good evening and welcome everyone to the 13th Mute Podcast, The Briefing Room, episode 22, Dame to Dinero. I'm Captain Takeda Hideyoshi, Company Commander and Paul Platoon Leader.
I am Captain Dubs, the commanding officer of Tuma.
First Lieutenant Soccer, XO Tumal.
I am Staff Sergeant Yogi, Hermes Actual, and Sea Enlisted Advisor.
I'm Staff Sergeant Ace, Admin Enlisted Advisor.
Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
House Recruit Spicy. Run with the EMC Expeditionary Medical Corps. Been here for like about a year.
Hell yeah, brother. White should be here any moment, and Spicy is on CQ duty, so he's being a real one and doing the podcast off his phone.
A real fucking trooper.
I should be over to my computer soon.
Hell yeah.
Just tell your relief to hurry up.
For real.
I gave him a hit time, 2000. Go eat some food. Go take a nap.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, with that, in 13th news, not a lot of news going on in terms of 13th stuff. OCS evals and everything coming up for leadership for Mr. Marcuzzi have concluded. We've got Cunningham's coming up this weekend, so leadership prepared to be kind of focusing in on that for the training and op this coming weekend. This will repeat 2 more times after this weekend, so yeah. Beyond that, nothing really else in that category. Infantry definitely still needs to focus on higher recruitment. Definitely got S3 looking into some other stuff with like mods and everything, along with like looking at Reforger. Command's reviewing a possibility in the far future of maybe doing like a hosted like Reforger op, something really simple, maybe like 2 or 3 months out, just to kind of get our foot in the door and see how everything works from there. But it's going to take some testing and some time, so we'll get that all figured out. Tuma is still closed at this time. Really not a big necessity for having that element to be out open in recruitment, so we're going to keep the focus on mainly infantry and the other 2 support elements being Erebus and EMC. So with that being said, do you want to go any further depth for me there, Mr. S3 Head Soccer, in terms of what you guys have been working on over there in S3?
Yeah, I can. As far as like mod stuff goes, really just trying to fix performance issues, and we're still working with headless clients. Figured out the big cause of a lot of performance issues was the amount of map markers put on the map, along with CTAB plus better CAS, and it's only when better CAS is added. It's like a 20 to 30 FPS drop as soon as the CTAB is pulled up. So better CAS is removed from the mod list. It was a nice feature for Tuma and the JTAX to use, but definitely not gonna break anything by any means with it being gone. So always for whatever the best for the unit is, so that should help with performance. Like I said, we're still looking into fully implementing the headless clients. We're still trying to figure out some things as far as how the AI respond to behavior when the headless client takes them over. For example, if you give an AI a order before the headless client takes over, once the headless client populates that AI, it will forget it and you'll have to do it a second time. So we're still trying to look in, figure that out. There's a few different headless clients mods out there that are different from the ACE one that may fix that, but that's all going to take time to test individually and see how each one interacts differently. But that's really the big updates from an S3 side of things. Oh, another one I forgot. We got some new JLTVs, and so look out for those on the map.
Oh, that's right. Anderson was getting really excited for those new GLTVs that they got coming in.
Yeah.
They look good, honestly. They look really good. They sit a fuck ton of guys in them. They get they got 4 seats interior with a Crows system, and you get 3 in the back, right? So 7 total.
Yeah, 7 total.
That's honestly pretty nice, all things considered. Now, obviously, those 3 in the back are somewhat pretty exposed. I mean, they can get down, right? They don't need to be poking out, but generally speaking, it's one of those like you don't want to be trying to take fire in that if you're in the back there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Also super random. Fucking if y'all can keep an eye out on Sergeant Eternal. Apparently, their house they had to evacuate their house tonight because of some bad underground gas leak. So keep your eyes out and ears for him, and just check in on him, let him know, because we will be doing the same thing. That is very unfortunate, especially as this is occurring during the podcast. Yeah, pretty rough. With that all being said, I think that's it in terms of the general news, unless anyone else has anything they want to throw in real quick. Alrighty.
Nothing from Tumon now.
Yep. Alrighty. With that being said, Spicy, welcome to the podcast, man. I know it's kind of a long-winded intro here with some updates and stuff, but how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty all right. Had a long day at work. A lot of stupid stuff dealing with the actual S jobs and actual PMCSs and radios and all that today. But luckily volunteered for CQ, so I could actually be here today. There ain't really much else going on besides that,
All right. Yeah, I got you. Understandable. I guess that kind of leads me into one of my first initial questions is, let's talk about Dame to Dinero real quick. Real quick story time for the man who was, went through a similar incident as Mr. Donald Trump, the current president of the United States. What's the story behind that?
Same day actually.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna get too down into the down and dirty, but long story short, Austin, Texas, right? Celebrating a homie's birthday, right? He just turned 21, so obviously that means we're all getting fucking shit faced. Go out to Austin, hit 6th Street, right? Long night. Dudes take some girls back to the hotel. I get left behind. I'm pissed. I get blackout. I'm wandering the streets trying to get back to the hotel because I don't even have money in my bank account. Spent it all on alcohol, right? Gotta piss, go down this alleyway, I piss. Keep walking down after I piss, and the dude jumps out. Doesn't say Dame to Dinero, but pretty similar. Very white man. Dude probably thinks I can't speak Spanish, which he wasn't wrong. I failed fucking middle school Spanish. Most I know is like the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish, right? So he's saying Dinero, Dinero, and I'm like, hands up. I don't say shit to this man. I just hand him what I got. I don't got my wallet on me. Give him my phone. Give him wad of cash that I have in my pocket, stuff like that, right? And he takes it, turns away, and I think he's leaving, right? So I turn the other way. I start running, and I don't know if y'all ever actually been shot at, but I'm guessing in the game, right? The game you get the snaps and whistles, right? Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hear that, just one shot, right in the back of my quad. Penetrates. That's the only time I ever let him penetrate me before.
Type shit.
Fuck. That sucks.
Penetrates, breaks, pretty high up on the femur. I'm forgetting my medical terminology right now, but we're just right below the femoral head. Ricochets, comes down and out just below one of my tattoos, and just above the knee, comes out. I actually, when I felt it hit, I didn't feel anything. It just felt like I got punched really hard, right? And I look down, and I see the bullet physically exit me, right? Femur broken. I eat shit. Hit the ground. Bro comes back over. gun in my face, right? Draco 762. And he is, I can't remember too well. It's been like 8 months at this point. But basically, just like Dinero, he's probably like calling me stupid or like cracker or something, right? And then he points down the alleyway. He's like, "Hey, start crawling." Not English, but it's kind of inferred if he's pointing down that way. So I start crawling that way, and then he runs off around a corner. And the very next thought in my head is like, I can't run. What do I do? And me and my infinite wisdom, that's probably like the best decision I made that night, was to play dead. I just kind of splayed out, and I laid there, didn't breathe. I trained my eyes on where he came from, and I didn't move. And he comes back around that corner, and I see him raise his gun up. And I guess this guy's just kind of a dumbass, because I definitely would have double tapped, but guess he thought I was dead. Runs off. And then I start calling for help after like 3-4 minutes. I roll over, can't see anything, it's way too dark. So I just assume that I'm bleeding out, right? So I take my arm, I throw it right up in your minguinal. It's your crotch, right between my balls and my femoral, and I just lean into it with all the force I can, right? Just stopping bleeding if there is any. And then the Spanish guy comes around, and he speaks Spanish too, and I'm guessing he's like saying something about the police, because I heard policia, and I was like, fuck no, man. I've had bad luck with Spanish tonight, so I went and like crawled away behind a dumpster and just waited for cops to show up. And at that point, my training took over, and I was when they showed up, I was like, hey, gunshot wound, left leg, get tourniquets on me, blah blah blah, stuff like that. To the point where I told them, get 2 tourniquets on me, because we get showed this famous picture of the dude who had his legs blown off by an IED in Afghanistan or Iraq. I believe it was Iraq. And that dude had 4 tourniquets on him, and he was still bleeding. So that's what I reverted to. I get into the paramedic van, whenever they get there, and I'm like, hey, no fent, no morphine. I don't mess with opioids, stuff like that. And they're like, oh, why? Do you use? And I was like, no, I'm drunk right now. And they're like, all right, you're getting fentanyl. And at that point, I didn't care if they killed me. They give me 100 micrograms fentanyl IV, and at that point, everything just like, you get real happy. It's a type of drug that interacts with your dopamine receptors, and basically just makes you really happy. I kind of like melted into the chair. And then I hear them complaining about my O2 being 80%. And that's when I said, no shit, I'm drunk, and you gave me fentanyl. And then they give me an oxygen mask, try to pump my numbers back up to at least 94, good SpO2 range. And I told them, give me some Zofran, which is your antiemetic, makes you not nauseous anymore. I told them, give me that, I'm going to puke. And they're like, no, you're not. And I took that as a challenge. I was like, all right, fucking bet. So I puked everywhere, all over the place. I puked on the paramedics, and it goes up my nose, because they got a nasal cannula on me. It goes right up my nose, and I ripped that out, and they're fighting. Yeah, I ripped that out, and like, no, keep it in. I was like, no, I just puked in my nose, blah blah blah. And there really isn't much more to that. Get to the hospital, and sign a bunch of paperwork. Cops are interrogating me. I do remember I had to piss really badly, and I was positioned in such a weird way on this bed, whatever, the surgical bed before I went to surgery, that I couldn't really move, and I went to piss, and I ended up pissing all over myself. And I remember being in the ER room, and they were like, why are you still awake? And then that's when I go to sleep, wake up, nurses are like, yo, like, it took so much to put you out. And I was like, yeah, I was like really drunk. That's, kind of a given. I was out the very next day. I remember waking up to seeing Donald Trump get shot. There's a few memes about it in the server.
Yeah, buddy. Definitely got a few memes made about you and that whole thing, man. Fuck.
Yep.
Only a few, though.
I'll close up on the story real quick, though. We're at the very end. Out the very next day, basically had to do a backflip for OT and PT, which is occupational and physical therapy. And they're like, all right, you good to go. Got my oxy, got real high, and just spent a month off work. That's about it.
That's got to be a fucking insanely surreal experience. Honestly, it sounds like your paramedic team was pretty fucking.
Dog ass.
Dude, honestly, I don't think there's any other way to put it. Yeah, what the fuck? Like some very
Yeah.
basic medical knowledge, and it just in one ear out the other. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
civilian
it's
military
Spicy.
med are
So Spicy, the
insanely
real
protected.
story is you got drunk and you shot yourself, right?
Oh, yeah. I was cleaning my gun.
yeah.
Didn't want to go to the field,
It's a hell of a way to get out of the field.
You just had to come up with a really good story.
What was your chain of command's reaction like? Like the actual army command?
I mean, they were pretty relaxed about it. Obviously, I left out some, pretty major details. I wasn't doing the greatest of things that night. A couple illegalities, but at the end of the day,
But you don't tell them, they don't know.
well, they did pull the police report, so they saw everything. But I'm not a shitbag soldier. At the end of the day, I know my shit. I get the job done, and most of the people in my battalion know me. There's like, hey, what's up, Doc? How you doing? Come to the range with us. We'll let you shoot. Blah blah blah. And from there, they were pretty helpful. They weren't looking to make an example out of me. They're just like, yeah, you made a mistake that night. Blah blah blah.
Now we know that bullshit.
Yeah.
The chain of command's like, fuck that.
Originally they were, but I guess my platoon sergeant put in good word for me. That really changed them. My first sergeant, I'm pretty close with him. He's the one. Well, honestly, I could probably say that he's the reason why I'm still in the military. I wasn't hurting anybody, physically, mentally, financially, anything like that. Just doing some stupid shit, but yeah, he helped me out a lot. We had a sergeant major who just got a PCS to a new battalion, but he helped me out a lot. I even got a visit from the brigade commander because my mom was like, "Oh, you can't shower. They're taking such bad care of you," and called what is it, casualty assistance. And I was like, "Mom, I'm not a fucking casualty of war. Like, come on." So brigade commander comes down and he's like, "What is going on?" May sound like, "Oh, dude, like there's not much." Like, blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, we all have moms, blah blah blah." And then we just make fun of each other and then of how old they are and stuff like that. It was a pretty chill experience. Wouldn't get shot again, but I would probably take getting shot over getting sick, to be honest.
That was your first time getting shot, right?
Oh yeah. I don't plan on getting shot again.
The first time
Probably almost did. Oh yeah. I almost got shot on Monday again. Wasn't anywhere near it. There was an active shooter on base. So everybody got freaked out. Base got locked down. Turns out just sim rounds. So, but I remember we were on a 50 range and we were talking about just taking our 50s, mounting them on the JLTV and LMTV, and just drive by the fucking motor pools where the shooting was going on.
Oh my god.
I think the moral of the story is don't go to Austin, Texas. That place is a shithole.
Oh yeah, dude, ghetto as fuck. Don't recommend. If you're gonna go there, go there in the
there.
daytime, and even then, don't go.
I guess what I'm more surprised about between everything is like your fucking your buddy like just kind of left you out there to dry kind of deal. Like, I don't know, that seems real
That's real
fucked.
fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got bitches and he got shot.
I would never let that down.
More interested in hoes. I never let them. I don't let them live it down.
Good shit.
They could have kept me from wandering in the night, but hey, leave me in a bar. I'm gonna get drunk, real drunk.
Yeah, fuck that. Well, I appreciate you sharing your fucking story with us, as fucking crazy as it must have been in the moment, but now it's well over been half a year now, and could share a incident not only with the unit, but you also share a similar event with the president of the United States. So that's fucking crazy.
That was
the same fucking
definitely
day.
surreal waking up and seeing that same fucking day. A few
Mom,
handful of hours prior.
that motherfucker. Switching this over real quick here to Striker. Howdy, Striker. I saw you in the chat. I don't know if you're still watching now, but how you doing, Bubba? Get back to us, you beautiful Canadian man. We're waiting on you. With that as well, moving forward, Mr. Dubs, what kind of questions do you have for tonight's review?
Yeah. Let's get right into it. Let's see here. Given the current state of affairs, somebody brought this up in the survey. It says, why does the unit limit certain areas of speech? Why is it bad to talk about politics and beliefs? Shouldn't we be able to converse as friends or unit members?
You wanna dive into that one, Spicy, or do you want to pass it along?
Run it by me. I caught it, but I think maybe rephrase it.
Why does the unit limit certain areas of speech, such as talking about politics or personal beliefs?
Well, obviously, I think the number one reason is I'm in an environment where they do that too. I've seen how it can get. People get really in their feelings. They get aggressive. They don't like it when people don't agree with them. Creates a really hostile work environment, and it's a lot different online, where there's not really any. I want to say like fear of repercussion other than getting an imaginary NJP and maybe getting kicked out of the unit. But where I'm at, like, it's like, hey man, like, don't fucking talk about that shit. Like, you're gonna hurt people's feelings, perceptions, reality, all that stuff like that. So, it's really just comes down to it. It's just like, don't cause a problem. That's kind of how it is.
Well said. We don't even need to touch on that one. That's pretty fucking. That's pretty much it, everybody. That is not even a person of the command staff, and he's well aware of it.
Yeah.
Granted, he is active duty, so he also understands it very well.
Yeah, I mean, it says, shouldn't we be able to converse as friends or unit members? And that's all fine and dandy until it isn't.
Yeah.
Everything's
Trust
cool
me.
until your buddy disagrees with you on, something you think
Yeah, so
reshapes your reality of your perception of another person.
yeah, so the thing with that is, me and Yoshi, we could have 90% of the same views, but that last 10% could be completely opposite, and we are so adamant about it. Shit can be said that can't be taken back. Like hate speech, shit like that, and it's just a big issue, especially if there's other people in the channel.
And not even just that. I mean, like let's say you're in Chow Hall, and you and the other person are like agreeing with everything, talking what you're talking about, and then just some other person joins, and they're like, "Oh, well, actually," and then that just spirals into something bigger than what it needs to be. That's another issue too.
And it's just like Alex said, in the chat just there. It's all fun. It's all laughs and fun until someone takes it too seriously. Yep, exactly.
And with being on Discord, it's hard to gauge somebody's meaning by their voice. Especially like me, because like there's a lot of times I'm sarcastic. People can't tell. It's a lot of those conversations are better off in person, where you can see the facial expression of people, so you can know if they're joking or not.
I mean, shit, in my own personal experience recently, I had a very rashly quick decision between myself and another junior enlisted member, where I thought they were being a smartass, and it was just how they typed. and that's all it was. So everything over text can be skewed,
It
no
is-
matter how blatantly you think, because obviously joking or being transparent could come off completely different to whoever is reading it in whatever context that they think it is in.
It is very hard to convey tone through text.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's got me in trouble a few times in my leadership.
Yeah, you being a smart ass? Like, no.
No, man, this is
Wasn't-
how I think.
No, it wasn't.
I'm just asking. And it's like, fuck, my bad.
Now, if you guys want to have political conversations,
Keep it
you guys
amongst
can make
yourselves.
sure- keep it
Take
amongst
it-
yourselves
Take
in
it
a
out of
separate
the
channel,
Discord.
or in a separate channel. If somebody comes in and say, "Hey, look, we are having political talk here. If you want to be in it, cool. If not, please go to a different channel."
That's a spark to a disaster. Keep it amongst yourselves.
Keep it in your own Discord servers or in DMs.
Yep.
It's just the
Just keep it-
easiest way.
Just keep it out of the 13th. It's the easiest way. All right.
Yeah, I mean that
Next
pretty
one.
much hits the nail on that one. Let's see. This one says Zeus stuff and story writing, so I'm guessing your methods of Zeusing and how you come up with and plan out and write the story.
Yeah, so it's changed and developed over the years as it went along. And especially since we've had like as other Zeuses and assistant Zeuses come and go. I guess the simplest way to put it is step one, this was figured out a long time ago, but we figure out, okay, this is book number whatever, and in this book we're gonna have some amount of campaigns, and these campaigns can be derived from the map itself or from several maps. And in those campaigns, we treat them kind of like chapters of the book, and they explain certain details of what is occurring in the world of the book, because the books are not supposed to be tied directly to like the current world of events and shit like that. Like in our current book universe, Russia's the good guy, like that's the the narrative that we poise kind of deal, and we're fighting the PLA, right? So from there, we have the book, we get the chapters figured out, and we get kind of the grand strategy of what we're going to do, what maps are we going to, what are the campaigns, and, what is the gist of the goal that the players of the unit needs to meet in figuring out or dissecting each of those chapters, right? And it's normally like a sentence long. Like, they need to figure out Antagistan, the PLA are involved. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Antagistan took like 3 months, So it's just all dependent on the players and like what we need to do as Zeus to help develop the story. But the players still have like the choice of developing it. So there's still a lot of like freedom and leeway into like what can happen. So that's obviously a thing that we have to think about as well. And from there, the more direct thing is recently, I've been passing off Zeusing over to Alex, who's now taken over as kind of like the head Zeus for the next several weeks to give him a go at it and give me a break, which I very much appreciate. What we do is, we'll get on to the map and we'll start drawing out like area of operations. And like this will be area of operations week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. We normally don't go past week 6 just because you never know at some point if an op will be failed or not. But every week is planned out and is given some general set of objectives. The recons and patrols are planned out as well. And again, it's very loosely kind of set, but there's a general scheme in place of what we kind of want to happen. But again, because the players change the outcome, a whole other thing could happen because of what they did that one up, right? So that's why we don't go super far out in terms of like the super specifics. But they mark out the AO, we get the weeks down. We, normally it's easier with 2 guys. We have something called the master doc, and we'll put down like the specific info that is going to be occurring in that op on that day and why it's happening or what objectives are like super important that need to happen. And not only do we now have the maps, and we have the general info that enables all of the Zeuses to go to the master dock and be like, oh shit, Alex can't make it that day because he's sick as fuck, or he's in an accident, or he got shot in Texas for whatever reason, right? So I could come in and be like, oh, I'm Zeus qualified, and I have the master dock, so now I know exactly what to do. I can set it up along the same parameters, and the unit can still have an op. Generally speaking, those are kind of the steps that we go about it. I normally let the S3 team kind of set up the Eden side of the unit. I give them a quick briefing of like, hey, this is what's going on, this is the world. Set up the base, set up the spawners, do your thing. But everything else is normally spawned in through Zeus when it comes to the like op time. So Zeus's will get on the day of, about an hour out, to like set up the AO, set up objects, the objectives, the enemies, and my personal goal is always, if there's 5 objectives, we only try filling in the first 2 objectives with AI, because we try to give the best FPS rate for the players on the server. It's Arma 3. It's an old game. It doesn't have multi-threading. It doesn't have, it doesn't utilize all the CPU cores. It's a struggle fest. So there's only so much that we can do as Zeus's to kind of give that, like, you're fighting a massive military army feel without like deleting bodies, spawning enemies, deleting bodies, spawning enemies, and then rinse and repeat. And then because it's Arma AI, they're a little stupid. So it's a lot of give and take. It's a lot of work, very stressful. And between all of that, you're also on 60-net or 30-net. You're communicating with the JTACs or Tuma or the ground infantry. You're relaying intel, relaying events, creating scenarios, causing stories, teleporting players who DC'd, fixing people who got armored, fixing assets, spawning in enemies, creating a narrative, role playing if you can fit that in there between all of the radio comms that are going on. Zeusing is a very difficult and I'd say longly consistent skill. Like, I've been Zeusing now for a good solid 3 years, and I'm still learning new shit. So as much as we try to teach you in like our Zeus quals, there's only so many things that we can teach you without you just inherently learning it as time goes on. And like, what tricks do you understand and develop from there? So I'm not sure if I went off point for you, Dubs, on that question, but that's kind of the general consensus on like what we do as Zeus's and how we go about doing it.
No, it's pretty much what they were, what this person was looking for. Let's see. I don't remember if we asked this one last time. It says, why is there a lack of officers in the unit? Why are so many NCOs and SNCOs leaving/retiring?
We did not answer that one.
Well, there you go.
How do you guys want to do this one?
I think that
We could
might be
do.
like,
I mean, we could do bottom up, the perception from Spicy, and then just go from there.
I mean, I'm down for whatever. Just let me know.
All right, Spicy.
Let's do it.
Why
All right, so
did you hear the whole question?
go ahead and let me hear it again.
The question was, why is there a lack of officers in the unit, and why are so many NCOs and SNCOs leaving/retiring?
I want to say, from my eyes, well, Arma 3, old game, right? We've got Arma Reforger, highly popular. I play it sometimes, even modded. I gotta say, it's pretty fun. So some people might just be getting out. Sorry, I'm eating dinner at the same time. Might be getting out, moving over to that game. Others, life happens, right? Like, when I got shot, I was gone for like 4 months, and then on top of that, I went to NTC, so I had to clock out for another 2 months. I'm about to have to clock out another 2 months again, right? So say if you got a member who's active duty, really active, high tempo unit, sometimes it just doesn't really line up for being able to go out and take part of the ops. So that might be why some people are retiring, especially for your more senior NCO guys. Those guys, typically in my eyes, they're a bit older, been doing it a lot longer, have a lot more passion for the game, right?
I'm back. What happened?
You
muted
muted your mic
stream.
and it muted the stream.
Oh,
I don't know how that works.
what?
I don't know how that
well,
works
I
either.
haven't. Well, I haven't muted right now the stream, and even though he's back, I'm still not hearing anything.
There's also like a 25-second delay. Ace.
Oh, I hear it now.
There we go. It's
Yeah,
back.
it's
Yeah,
back.
It's
Oh.
more like a 7-second delay.
Hello, everybody. We're back,
Well-
and you probably didn't hear half of what we talked about. I don't know where we cut off. Alex, what was the last thing that you heard us talking about, if you can recall, or anybody else? Apologies about that, y'all. Of course, we cut out when we had, 13 people watching, so that was great.
Last thing I heard said before I stepped away was Spicy was giving his input on lack of officers and NCOs and SNCOs leaving.
Oof.
Why no officers? All right, Spicy, run it back real quick.
All right. Long story short, Armor Reforger, fun game, right? Armor 3 old, people want new, right? Maybe that's why they're moving over there. Life changes. I'm in the army. I got shot. I was out for 4 months, right? On top of that, did an NTC rotation. About to clock out for another 2 months. Going to another NTC rotation. It doesn't really fit the lifestyle for some people, right? In terms of work. Maybe they got shit going on, right? As for officers, maybe you're thinking more along the lines of like a real life unit. I'm in the army, not the Marine Corps, and we're obviously modeled after the Marine Corps. Down here, we got our platoon leaders who run with us. Love my old platoon leader. As for the Marine Corps, don't know how it goes, but from what I hear, same but different. Marine Corps has a totally, entirely different mission set than the Army, right? Also, like that all goes hand in hand with low numbers right now. Yeah, best paraphrase I got.
Oh, that was good. Ace, did you want to chime in as well, or?
Yeah, sure. I gave a full length answer, viewers, but I'm too sick to fucking go over it all again. So summarization, kind of like he did. Basically, people will put their time in the unit, get NCO, they get bored of it, mill some armor, burnt out, whatever. They retire, quit, etc. And why there's so many officers? When you look at it, there in terms of the ground element, there should really only be 4 officer slots, which is the CO, XO, Airbus platoon lead, and Apollo platoon lead. So there's only 4 slots, and the only people who can get those are people who do like OCS and shit. So that's why there's not many officers, because you have to earn it.
Hell yeah. Yogi.
If people are asking why there's a lack of officers, just we don't do it. We don't do it the same way every other unit does, where the person who's the officer or the leader of the platoon just worked way up from team lead, squad lead, platoon staff, and then to the PL. We pick guys out and train them specifically for the job, see how they do, and then if they do well, they get put in that spot. I think that's a very efficient, or not efficient way to do it, but effective way, because that ensures the guys in those spots actually know what they're doing, opposed to someone who just kind of like is okay at squad leading or good at squad leading, when platoon is very, very different. You gotta look at far more big picture than just the squad. And then similar to Ace, like why guys are leaving, they just get burnt out. In all my times in different units, the main thing why people leave is burnout, or at least that's what a lot of guys say. That or just their life changes. They're in school, or the wife demands more attention, or they got kids or something, and whatever it may be, and they just gotta go do other more important things.
Yep. White soccer.
So officers, when it comes to that, we look for people who's going to be around for a long time, who show dedication to the unit, who we know the unit trusts, stuff like that. Also, we're not really a big unit to have a whole lot of officers. As for people retiring, like NCOs and stuff like that, it's life. Like I retired for a few months because I was working 2 jobs. I didn't have time. Um, but like some people just get tired of the game. Some people just get tired of milsim. It's a million different reasons, and it's just one of those things that every game deals with, like not just us, but like WoW and all these other games that require people to play together. Stuff like that. Also, like Spicy said, Armor 3 is an older game. So more people are going over to Reforger with all the changes that that's making. So yeah, that's pretty much about it.
Parker, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean everybody else pretty much said it. I mean the unit is growing and decently sized, but it's not massive. Like there's no need to have 10 officers. It's really no point. At that point, just make everybody an officer because it really holds no value or weight. And then why people are like SNCOs and NCOs are leaving. Yeah, life. People's life get busy, and a lot of times like Arma does take up a good chunk of their time, and
in my room.
sometimes you just gotta something's gotta give. That's it for me though.
Dubs?
I mean, pretty much what everyone else said. I mean, the amount of officers in the unit is based solely on the overall membership of the unit. You know, so you don't need to have a unit that is majority officers over enlisted, you know, the main body, as one would say. So you don't need the number of officers don't need to outweigh the main force of the unit. So the officers are there because they, you know, the position was available and they were chosen, you know, based on any multitude of reasons. For, you know, any multitude of reasons is why Yoshi put us in that position, or went through the process to put us in that position. So there's just not spots for a whole bunch of officers. And then, I mean, NCOs, SNCOs leaving, you know, Arma's a 13-year-old game. I mean, it's gonna, I mean, I say it's going to, it already is dying out. So hopefully, you know, we see a resurgence in people to kind of hold us over until such a time comes where we either A, make the switch to Reforger, or B, Arma 4 comes out. At this point, it's just a waiting game. We'll have to see what happens.
I want to say one other thing.
Alrighty. So, yeah, go ahead, White.
Ace, you've got one position.
What?
My position, because corpsmen are technically ground.
Yeah. Corpsmen are people.
No, you're right. We're not people. We are gods. We
All
hold your life in our hands.
Anyway.
Morphine bomb.
I'm just
the
gonna
field
go
of
ahead.
helicopters
I'm gonna
do,
beat
apparently.
I'm gonna beat the dead horse here just to kind of finish it all off. So beyond what everyone else has said, because everyone else is correct. You know, unit membership. You know, we require a lot more time and engagement for people to make rank, and you know, time and dedication. You know, other Milsim units have 13 officers and 5 enlisted. That's just not how we are here in the 13th MEO. That's not what I, you know, created and fostered between myself and then all the other junior and senior leadership here. It's just not how I wanted it to be, like those other Milsim units. we're not, again, just not that big. It's not really necessary. I mean, you need one officer for every 30 to 40 people, give or take, right? At the end of the day, the backbone of any kind of organization, specifically in ours, is going to be the NCOs. If we don't have any NCOs, what's the point of having an officer? Now, the funny thing is, we're bringing this up. The situation is actively being remedied because we do have two current candidates, which is Sergeant Cunningham, Sergeant Marcuzzi, and they are well on their way to getting through their OCS candidacy. Now, I think really the biggest thing beyond just like numbers and people's real lives and getting burnt out of Arma, or some sort of drama happens and they think you need to be a NEET to do what we do, which I think you're just stupid if you believe that, but hey, that's besides the point. I think if you just have good time, time work, what is that fucking English word?
Management.
Time management, and time management and dedication, and if you really want to do it, you can. And I think really the biggest hurdle of the whole thing is just how OCS is formed. And like the unit isn't based on like the yes sir, no sir mantra and getting yelled at and doing push-ups, this, that, and the other, because that's not the point of being a leader and creating that kind of integral part of the unit in terms of like developing leadership. OCS, if anything, is only so difficult. Oh, I'm cutting out. Oh,
I
okay.
think you're good now.
OCS is only difficult, and I think it's the most difficult course because of how long it is. I think if you don't have the patience, you can't get through it. You go through 3 tests over the span of 9 weeks. In between each of those 9 weeks, you go through what we call SULEs, which are small unit leadership evaluations. Assuming you pass each of those tests and you don't need to requal or retest on them, you move on to a separate category of training. We read through the documents, rules and regulations, the handbooks, and all that other stuff, and you learn the depth and scale of admin and what you need to do and what your responsibilities are. And then you have your final unit evaluations, which are the last 3 to 4 weeks, and that depends on how many candidates have made it up to this point. And it's not even just me grading you, it's all of the junior and senior leaders that actively watch you in training and op that grade you. So you're being graded by the people that you're going to be expected to lead, and if they don't even see you as a capable leader like then and there, then why should you be in charge of these guys thereafter, right? And that's a whole other philosophy that like everyone could differ on, but that's just how I've seen things. And I will say, between all of the OCS classes that we've held 3. This is the one that we're the closest to actually fully completing, and Cunningham Marcuzzi are doing a fantastic job, and they've grown a lot going through the course. But yeah, I think that's really what it is. It's just the heralded issues of all of the things that everyone else has said, but along with OCS just being a time thing. It takes so long. I think the average time frame is anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks, depending on how many people are in the class. So yeah, that's why, we don't really need a shit ton of officers. And when we do get them, I expect them to be fairly above average personnel, because they are at a pinnacle point where essentially they're almost command staff. They're platoon staff, they're mini COs for people who don't understand like military stuff, right? They're in charge of all these squads and elements and making sure that trainings get done. And while it does come with this awesome rank of being, second lieutenant in a butter bar and you're in charge of all these guys, I mean, I'm on your ass. That's just, if you're not doing your job, I'm gonna let you know, right? But hopefully that's not going to be the case, because these guys are doing pretty good. Now, not to beat a dead horse, let's move on to the next question, because I think we've got about another 30 minutes here.
I have a quick interjection. I'm switching over to my PC, so I'm in Shah Hall B right now.
Yep, we'll bring you up. All right, let me pull him.
I got him.
I got him.
All right.
I'm faster. Oh, you sound like a human being.
Wait, Spice is a human?
Next question, Dubs.
Oh, he's muted.
Okay, good job, Dubs. You're demoted. Part 7.
He needs to find a toggle for his mic that isn't Discord.
Wonder if we're muted on Steam or stream.
Maybe.
Yeah, I said stream, asshole.
So they can still hear us. My girlfriend's is in the channel, and she
Okay.
can still hear us.
Yeah, I'm hearing us in the stream.
Solid. I guess with all that being talked about, Spicy, I know you said earlier you weren't really super interactive with like a lot of the members of the unit, but what has kept you around? I mean, between everything that's happening in real life and the shit that you deal with and work and all this other stuff, like what keeps you like coming back to the ops and like being here, being on the podcast? What is all this? What's the point?
Honestly, I just need something to do. I enjoy the Milsim aspect a lot. I have a lot of my own opinions regarding how it should be run. As for maybe pursuing leadership, off the table. I'm in the cav, dude. I'm way too busy to have to worry about trying to be in fucking NCO for, you know, Arma when I'm basically a fucking NCO in the army. So, yeah, just something to do, you know.
No, totally understandable. I get it. I was just curious. I'm always curious to seeing like what motivates people, and most of the time it's something to do, you know, and you're just like, you know, having fun with that kind of aspect of your life in video games.
Yeah, I have considered pulling out a couple times just because, with me being in the first cav, we got a lot of high tempo shit, and it just kind of pulls me away a lot. Like we're getting a lot of last minute taskings right now for ranges. I've recently been on like a 50 cal range, M4, 249, 240. About to do a Mark 22, about to do shotgun, grenade ranges, shit like that, and it's been a lot to try to communicate, being like, hey, I'm not gonna be here for this. I gotta do this. Same thing with like being on CQ. It's like, can I not? Who knows? But what's kept me around is more than the why shouldn't I be around, is just I need something to do, you know?
Yeah, man, fair enough. Spicy, what questions do you have for us while you've got us here? Anything you want?
And no, we will not give you money.
Can I have money?
No.
Hell no.
But I donate, please. No.
Oh.
No refunds.
I guess my question is, why are we not having inter-post transfers? I guess is the best way to put it.
What?
So, me personally, I do want to switch over to the infantry. I like. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy the medical, but me doing it in real life, it's kind of actually seeping onto my real life skills in the way that it's like I'm mixing up my own TCCC assessment, like, you know, March Pause, stuff like that. And that's kind of the reason I want to change over to the infantry. You know, I'll still stick around if the job needs to be done, but my question is, why?
So I will answer this since it is my element. I put that restriction on because the numbers for the corpsmen were not the greatest. And for the ground infantry to do their job properly, we need to have the corpsmen there. With that being said, we did decide the next GWI corpsmen were, if needed, well, not needed, if they wanted to, we would allow a certain, like a few people to transfer. And you are on that top of that list, Spicy.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the medical. I know it's not really a thing in the unit except with like the pilots, but I don't mind being a flex. Maybe you need infantry one day. Maybe you need a medic one day. Um,
Yeah, it was literally just because the attendance for corpsmen were not the greatest at the time. They've gotten better. We've got Court came back. He's active. We got a new recruit that's coming in this week. So we're looking better than we were when we put that into place.
I guess that leads me around to another thing in that I think this is going to be a conversation between me and White for a little bit, but it's I've been I personally in real life I enjoy my medic job. I fucking know it inside and out. Evac plans, Seaburn operations, fucking how to run how to run the tent with the treatment, how to do triage. It's my fucking bread and butter, right? I guess my question is why do we put such a high need on having medics or corpsmen in this instance for the infantry? Because in my opinion, with just how the army runs it, I get it. Marine Corps, different mission set, also not real life. But for the size of the people that we have, I want to say typically we get like 4 teams running at 2 squads, right? How our companies do it, we're mechanized, is that we would have 2 medics total for those 2 squads. One team would be with, one team would be without. Same thing with the other squad with their 2 teams. And that really puts a stressor on us to teach our guys CLS because at the beginning and end, it's self-aid, buddy aid, and then medic aid. As well as since we're transferring into LISCO operations, we've been doing it for the past fucking handful of years. It's no secret at this point. Like, I could talk about that. Evac times all time fucking high with like, you're sitting on a casualty for days. You gotta learn your PCCs, prolonged casualty care, shit like that. That is like my one major differing opinion on that part, on why I don't think we need this many medics,
So the reason why we do it this way is because if Arma is so unpredictable, that before when I took over, the average downtime of a person was past like to the point where it was just death at that point. And that's no fun. People were literally just laying on the ground for 5 minutes and then dead. So we have this many people, corpsmen, to improve the ground's gameplay and stuff like that. So we have 1 corpsman per fire team. They take care of those guys. I'm roaming around helping out where needed to ensure that the ground has a better experience for the ops. I was Greenside Corpsman 10 years. We did this pretty much the same way that you did it.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from, but at the end of the day, you have to think this. You have to realize this is a video game, and us as command and stuff like that, we want the members to enjoy the ops, so they keep coming back and tell their friends and stuff like that. So
yeah,
whatever we can do to improve that, we'll do. And so far, this has worked for us the best.
Yeah, I've only been here for like 8 months, 9 months, so not too much room to speak on this, but that's just my opinion on the things.
Yeah, it's like when I first took over corpsman, there was ops where we had 2 corpsmen covering.
Honestly, one
30
thing
people.
we could do to like remedy the issue, Nap brought it up, and we brought up a command meeting CLS.
Yes.
Like have
Nap
make it a course.
Nap is actually working on that program right now. We should have that done here shortly, and I'll go over that and figure that out and stuff, and then we will figure out how to implement that and stuff like that.
That was definitely a thing that I wanted to bring up because me when I'm in these ops and I have a dude go down, personally, like I had it on the training last week. I can't remember who it was, but dude got hit by a rocket or blown up by a grenade. 15 avulsions on each like part of the body, head, arms, legs, torso, right? And at that point, I was looking at this. No other medics around. I don't want to call another medic because personally, I think that's kind of cheaty. That's just the way I play the game. I don't want to call another medic over. I want to utilize it like it's like, hey, dude. So I pull my quote unquote CLS like, hey, come over here, like tourniquet this guy, start helping me with help me out with that. So I actually pulled 2 of them from the line and had them working on it. And for me personally, I believe that to be enjoyable, just in a way that it's like it's kind of a shock for other people to be like, holy shit, like, you know, I got to do this now.
So we stress that a lot. That's why in the B&T portion is in there. So that way they had that training already.
Mhm.
But the thing is, a lot of people after that, they don't really care. They're there to shoot people.
Yeah.
So we can't force somebody to stop shooting somebody to help us do our job.
I don't
That's
know.
what
My fucking buddies are down. I may. If enough guns are up, I'm gonna pull back and help.
I can actually chime in on this as well. So I think the biggest part of everything, right, is like Arma itself, you know, the video game and how we role play everything. There's something that like we as command and especially as Zeus's, we constantly have to have this tug of war with, which is like what is more efficient and also what is more fun. It's great, like everything you're saying, Spicy, makes total sense. Super efficient, makes total sense. Like, let's implement CLS, you know, do the whole shebang. But now we run into an instance of like, you know, if certain people or so many infantry get CLS qualified to the point that like the corpsmen can't do corpsman things, then the corpsmen get bored and the corpsmen aren't having fun. And then you've got so many infantry who aren't doing infantry things because now they're not having fun because they have other set priorities and parameters that they didn't even sign up for. You know, they just did it to help out. But now suddenly they're doing all this medical because it's expected of them. And it's a really hard like gray line to just put in because yeah, it's easy on paper to say, oh well, this is only applicable in this scenario, but it's another thing like in a firefight. And that kind of circles back to like what Ace and you guys were talking about, which is the infantry are going to win the fight. Like their whole goal is to win the fight first and then deal with it as they can. Because I personally, even when I get shot or fucked up, I don't immediately pull out. I try to neutralize the target as quickly or as rapidly as possible, you know, fire and maneuver. And, you know, once that's done, then I'll handle myself, handle other people if they need it. But that's kind of the dilemma that we face here in the 13th is that balance. And it's a shitty balance. We've probably talked about it a half dozen times on the podcast, but it's like, it's what the unit's kind of based on because again, video game, and you gotta figure out what is efficient and also what is fun, because efficiency also entails like, hey, we could take these 5 objectives, or Tuma could just take the 10 minutes it would take to blow them all up. Boom, ops done. All right, everybody, have a good night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the dilemma that we constantly face in all of that, so to speak. But yeah.
I think that's it for the topic. Do we have any more questions? Honestly, I'm ready to just keep yapping.
I'm back
Yeah,
again.
if you got more. If oh, Dubs, you ready to get more questions going?
Let me see if I can drum some up here because that was the last of the ones that we like specifically highlighted.
Yeah, I got a whole slew of things I could talk about.
13th MEU IRL Marine Ball when?
My wedding, whenever that is.
Yep. I was about to say, Cap's wedding.
All right, here we go. This can be a topic for everybody. So one of the questions on the survey was regarding the the lengths of the ops and the size of the AOs. And looking at the responses, they were all spread out across the board. So some people prefer shorter ops, smaller AOs, longer ops, bigger AOs. Mid-size, happy medium. So I guess what's everyone's thoughts on how the lengths have been recently and the size of AOs recently?
All right, Spicy, kick it off.
So for me personally, I'm kind of an old man. I'm almost 23, but being in the army for 4 years, that makes you like 40 years old, right? I enjoy my sleep, and I've definitely realized, as of late, like once it's hitting 10 o'clock, I'm in Texas, so ops start at 19 for me, and they regularly do end up hitting 22 over here, and me being medicated on Adderall, I have an Adderall crash as well. So it's just like by 22, it's like, man, I would like to keep going. It's just like, I'm tired. I've got other things I need to do. I'm definitely got like I have other obligations. I can't stay up all night to do this stuff, right? As for the size, I don't really mind the size. I guess inherently having a larger AO ends up making for a longer op. And it being Arma, there's only so much you can really do with the buildings and stuff. So having more to do is, or like having more AOs is kind of equivalent to having more fun. I guess in my mind. But was that a two-part question, or was there like another part of the question?
Dubs?
Yeah, he's muted because I heard length, size.
I think it was like a 2-for-1.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty much just what is your preference slash how do you feel about the most recent ones?
Yeah.
For
as
anybody
long-
listening in chat, if you guys have questions, please post them in the chat. We're paying attention. So, sorry, go ahead, Spicy.
No, you're good. As long as it doesn't go past 22 for me. Sometimes I'll stay up longer, but typically I'm gonna get off at 10. That's just how it is for me. I got get my beauty sleep. I'm tired. As for how big the op is, doesn't really matter to me. Inherently bigger op, longer op, right?
Yeah, it's normally how it works. All right, is that okay, Spicy? Right.
I'm a big yapper. Sorry.
No, you're good, dude. Trust me, you're good. You're the guest. You can yap all you want. Ace, what you got?
What was the original question?
Basically, how do you feel about recently the lengths of the ops and the size of the AOs?
I think the lengths of the ops, they've been going like a lot longer. Like post winter break or like pre-winter break, they were pretty good, but post winter break, I don't know why, but it was just back to back 4-hour plus ops. Like it'd be getting to like 11 my time by the time we ended up like at formation or whatever, or actually getting off. But one beforehand, it'd be like 10 my time. So last week wasn't that bad, but yeah, maybe the size of the AO, maybe it was just our pace, how casualties went, made them longer, but I'd like to see the ops maybe just a tad bit shorter. Not by too much.
You also
But-
can't forget that we are literally on the biggest part of the island now. Like we're on the island, so that inherently comes with the AO changes and whatnot.
Yeah, it's not that too big of a deal, but like if we could try and make it a little bit like before the break or whatever you want to call it. If you know what I mean.
Comes down to
So-
you as the infantry man fighter.
Yeah, well, when I try to roll main army, everyone gets fucking mad. So I mean, don't blame me. Blame them.
I blame Lee.
Who the fuck is Lee?
Anyway, someone doesn't know their history. Yogi, what you got?
Oh, generally,
Yogi?
That's too long. They're just too long. If I'm getting off Arma at midnight with that's been going on too long. Again, I come from groups that 10 o'clock's hard to cut off, 10:30 is hard to cut off, 11 is like a long op if we're pushing it, and we've been doing ops, 2:11 past 11, and they're crazy. There's definitely things on Zeus side, S5 side that can be done to mitigate some of the times we spend on ops. And again, part of it also is on the ground guys, making sure we're kind of pushing through pretty quick. But our tempo's very similar op per op, so it comes down to the size of the AO and what's needed.
Yeah, trust me, the S5 team has more than enough gotten rid of whole objectives to make up for op time, so you don't need to worry about that, Yogi. Y'all just need to get better. All right. White.
So, like, in my opinion, the golden time frame is like 2 to 2.5 hours. That's when everybody's like usually at their best, performance wise, communication wise. After that, things usually start to slow down. I prefer like the 2.5 hour time, and then I don't mind a longer op every once in a while, but like Ace said, like back to back to back is just mentally draining, especially for like corpsmen and stuff like that. There's times where we just don't have a whole lot to do, and then all of a sudden we're swamped because people aren't paying attention or they're getting tired, and it gets rough after the 2.5 hour mark.
Soccer.
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I enjoy Arma and the ops, but at a certain point, it feels like I start getting diminishing returns from it, and I think right around like the 2.5 hour mark for me is where I start to feel that burnout from Arma in a single sitting. But obviously, I understand like not everything's black and white, and it isn't the easiest to make an op 2.5 hours on the dot, because there's a lot more that goes into it just than placing down X amount of AI or having X amount of objectives. That's all I got.
Hubs.
Two and a half is like to me, I think is like the golden area. 3 hours, it's manageable, but I think anything more than that, I mean, pretty much like everybody said, people are gonna start getting tired. People are gonna start making mistakes. People, unnecessary deaths. Racking up the kill count. God forbid we're pushing a 3.5, 4 hour op and everyone's tired, and then all of a sudden we hit kill count. That's gonna be demoralizing, and I can only imagine what thoughts and whatnot about that are gonna be. But yeah, I think that the golden number is 2.5 to 3. Anything more than 3, you're pushing people. And I understand, and after the break, you and I were talking, and the general consensus is that we've been on Tanoa for too long. I mean, we've been on Tanoa since, I think, August, September.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, yeah.
that's a long time to be on a map. And you know, we addressed why, you know, a lot of our ops were single islands. And, you know, when they could have been, you know, 2 islands or 3 islands depending on the size of the islands. So you know, that's done in the past, but and pretty much we came to the agreement like it's time to get off to Noah, make bigger AOs so that we can kind of speed this along. And yeah, you know, bigger AOs comes with longer op times, but yeah, I think back to the original point. I think anything past 3 hours is kind of pushing the limit.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll be completely honest with all of you guys. I've been paying attention to a lot of the op times, and we average out maybe an additional 30 to 20 minutes. But I don't really count op time until step off. So like 8:30, 8:40. So I don't remember maybe but one op recently that might have gotten close to like 11:45. But then you also got to talk about like 5 to 10 minute mini debriefs, and then all of the follow-up meetings after the fact. So is it really 4 hours, or is it just the aftermath of admin? So I'm not saying any of you are wrong. That's not the point that I'm making. I'm just saying that there's not really a significant difference that everyone is really bringing up, if that makes any sense, without it sounding like it's being wrong. I don't know. Perception
me,
of
it
time
just-
seems to be different.
It's getting off Arma at midnight versus I used to get off around 10:30. Now, obviously, like the other stuff you brought up.
Really?
Yes.
I don't remember
I-
getting off at 10:30.
I would get off at like 10:30 latest.
Between 10:30 and 11.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
before
remember some ops where it got off
There's
at like
no
9:30.
way. We all
Yeah.
live different lives then, because we all normally get off at like midnight because of all of the admin drama or whatever. We've
Oh,
got
so-
meetings.
Yeah, that's different. We're talking about the actual op.
Like closing the
Like
game.
being loaded into Arma 3.
Yeah, because like before I retired, I was getting off the game 10:30, 11 o'clock at the latest, and then we were doing our meetings afterwards in Discord.
I'll have to go back and look and see at my Twitch. There was one op, I think it was 2 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago. My stream time was 4 hours and 15 minutes, and I started the stream at brief.
Yeah, it said that there was one,
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
think that. I still don't think it's like as consistent as you guys
No,
are
yeah.
all making it out to be.
I think
Well,
last
it
week
may
was
have
like,
not been exactly.
All I'm saying,
hours
I think it's a
each.
little exaggerated, but we
may have-
will in S5 we will make sure to start alleviating the tempo in terms of time and try to make sure that we're getting done at brief by like 11, like we used to.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
Veeves
sounds
Veeves also brings up a good point.
if
Like
he was-
leadership, we're on well in advance before the op even starts.
So Beep said, "What about less objectives but more fortified, like more QRF stuff and staying on position and holding it for a bit longer? I feel like minimizing the movement time and reconning those objectives every time takes the most time." Right. So that's actually a great talking point because I've heard this from several people. That is really, 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 really hard to do as Zeus. It's actually almost impossible sometimes, depending on if the JTACs are there and 2MA's present. QRF will never make it to the infantry, almost always, unless the JTACs just tell 2MA not to do it. And even when they do, I mean, the defensive reaction to contact is like overwhelmingly insane. Like, if I wanted to make a good QRF, I would have to spawn the enemies at least like 50 feet away in order to move them. Because like we had our talk with Chang 2 weeks ago, Arma AI is stupid. And as soon as it makes contact or sees people, they get up, lay down, roll on the ground, move backward, forward, push through a tree. And there's not really a lot that we can do as Zeus's to kind of negate that issue. You know, we could fortify it. a bit more on the objectives. Definitely, I agree with that point. But it's asking a lot to do the whole massive QRF and not lag people out and not have the AI be stupid and not have Tuma obliterated before the infantry can have their fun, or the corpsmen do their medical. Again, all balancing. It's all a balancing act. Also think about new guys joining the units. A lot of them would leave after a 4-hour op because sack. Should also include briefing and pre-briefs for leadership. That's like an hour by itself. That's the actual 3 to 4 hour ops after. I don't include the briefs and pre-briefs. You sign up for that as a leader. That's my personal opinion. If you don't like it, that sucks. Shouldn't be a leader. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Let's see here.
If I may. Question mark.
Spicy May.
Uh-oh. What you got, Spicy?
I do have a little bit of suggestion. Maybe you have tried it, maybe you haven't. But maybe to reduce the amount of time spent on a map, maybe you can simulate like a wider range of conflict, being like, hey, you got other units in the area, blah, blah, blah. This is what they're working on. It would help condense AOs and also allow a bit of creative freedom and being like, hey, like since last week, this is how far the other guys have made it. This is where we currently are at. Stuff like that,
Oh, are you talking about like other entities taking territory and adjusting like?
Yeah, maybe it could be
land
like
security?
just like your sister brigades or something like that. But yeah.
Oh yeah, the Filipino Marines took that whole island to the northwest in order to speed up the current campaign. So
I think that could be implemented on
doing
a
it,
wider
yeah.
scale, personally, and in my opinion, because I've been on Tanoa since we've been on Tanoa for a long time. I personally am looking for a change of scenery, but it doesn't bother me too much. But I think if that's like a common complaint or gripe with other people, I think that might be a good idea.
Trust me, we are. That is why the ops are as big as they are, because we're trying to push through to Noah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. Maybe we need to utilize our Filipino forces more often. So we'll see.
Didn't we do that on NAF?
Yeah, we used
It's
the
happened
Germans.
it's happened on like most campaigns.
Yeah. Most campaigns, like an allied unit was doing stuff.
The difference on Tanoa is that the Filipinos are like fucked up. That's
I feel
why
like
they're
we've-
not super prominent.
I feel like we recovered enough of them though by this point. Or found
Yeah, I mean, like coincidentally now probably as the conversation comes up. But my point being
least-
is the whole point of Tanoa was to feel like a slugfest. We're fighting in dense urban jungle warfare, and the point that we also try to convey as Zeus is for it to suck to some degree. That was the whole reason why we were in the desert for a fucking year, was people hated Desert Marpat to the point that I was like, I want to get out of these fucking Desert Marpat. And like it's silly and goofy because obviously it's like you don't actually hate it, but it's like it gets you in that role play headspace, at least in terms of how I role play it and stuff. Is it's like I can't wait to get out of this fucking sand pit, and I try to convey that with like each of the campaigns is like I want this to be some sort of struggle that you remember, and then like a year from now, for people who look back on these like campaigns and missions, you're like, fuck Tanoa, man, I hated fighting in that godforsaken jungle, and it's just one of those kind of like little roleplay things people don't think about, but it's something cool to realize either in the moment or in the future. But yeah, we can definitely make the adjustment. I'm sure Alex is listening now, so we can have more Filipino involvement now that they've kind of solidified themselves. I mean, we've saved, the politicians, the president, we have their colonel, which is Bandit's Uncle Papi Chulo, whatever it is. So yeah, we will adjust accordingly in order to fix that.
Alex, don't joke about that.
if we get off this map, frames would be better. It's funny, Veebs, you say that because when we got on the map, the frames were better compared to Takistan.
The start of the map isn't a jungle.
Hell yeah.
Well, also, typically, like
No, I said that Northern Takistan had worse frames than Tanoa. And Cyber's reasoning was because it's a DLC map, so it runs better. I don't know.
it's because
Also-
Bohemia made maps typically run better. It's why a lot of like units do ops on Altus, because Altus is very well made.
Also, we did have better casts on for like the longest amount of time, so
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know how much of a performance impact that, like, how big of a change that'll be truly until everybody gets on and tests out for themselves. I mean, for me, it was like 30 FPS increase.
I haven't tested it yet, but
I don't know.
it was
Anyway,
noticeable.
moving on with the questions. We probably got what? Room for one or two more?
See if I could.
We're about capped out on time.
We're about capped out on time and questions.
If you don't have, you can ask me questions. You know, ask me like army related questions, stuff like that, if you want.
Let's see.
Actually, I think this is like a perfect time to stop.
Yeah, I'm all.
What-
I think we're
what
tapped out
would
on questions.
I would say one more question just to shoot out for Spicy here as a guest. So,
Okay.
Spicy, what is the? You kind of said it a bit earlier as well. What is kind of the big separation between like army, like combat medic stuff that you learn versus like what you've learned being in a 13th, right? So like what's the difference? What's applicable? What's not? And I mean in all aspects, whether that's infantry based, medical based, whatever.
Let me start at the medical basis. My bread and butter. All right. So, when I was a wee soldier medic, over in Foxtrot, about almost 4 years ago, they taught us march pause. Right. That's what we learned. Basis: massive hemorrhage, airway, respirations, circulation, hypothermia, pain, antibiotics, wounds, and splinting. Right. As I've developed, we've gotten a lot more in depth. So now it's, massive hemorrhage, airway, respirations, circulation, hypothermia, which it's H2 now. From at my level, it's hypothermia and head wounds, and then you got pain, antibiotics. Those are the same. And then when you get to wounds, there's actually two more additives to that. So wounds, burns, and nursing, because a huge part of our job now is PCC, concerning the LISCO aspect, large-scale combat operations. PCC is prolonged casualty care, or you could do PFC, prolonged field care, stuff like that. As for it translating to the game, it translates okay, I would say. You're not doing all this crazy ass shit. And I'd say that medical, even in the armor, in the way that we do it, gets it wrong. Like, I'm not carrying a fucking AED. I'm not carrying like a lot of shit. Pulse ox and BP cuff, if that, is probably max what I'm carrying in terms of like those types of things. My track will have more PFC related items like chest tubes, stuff like that. So that's not entirely off the fact, but with the way we start out casualty, in this unit at least, it seems like if you get a severe casualty, the very first thing you're doing is dropping a fast IO, TXA, EACA, and then you're pop in your tourniquets on. Whereas for us, I mean, we're not fucking with circulation. We got to stop the bleed. So we're getting that bleed stopped as fast as possible. In the game, there's a lot of you get a lot of leeway for saving somebody, at least in my opinion. As for weapon aspect, Army, at least in our battalion, had an update. Generally, we were only allowed M4s and M17s, so the carbine and the pistol. We've recently been allotted 249s. We're supposed to have 6 for our our vehicles, and that means everybody in our evac section is getting qualified. That's glaringly obvious that we are not granted the same weaponry in the unit. We're kind of restricted to, you know, just your basic battle rifles, stuff like that. That's a pretty big difference between the unit and the actual army. Maybe we can touch on. I already touched on like how medicals actually run at the tactical level. Personal opinion: too many medics. It just doesn't make sense in the setting, especially because about 90% when we get deployed, at least about 90% of people have to be CLS certified in our unit when we deploy, and that's really just because in real life it's the infantryman or the cook or the fucking truck driver that is giving you your most important life-saving care. I'm only coming around to start doing that aftercare stuff, like, you know, nursing, tracking how much your urinary output, which should be like 30 to 50 milliliters an hour. I'm tracking, you know, fluids in, fluids out, you know, trending vitals, stuff like that. And that's not very well modeled in the game because you're not actually trending. I mean, you could kind of trend vitals, but those are affected so fast. It's unrealistic in that sense. I kind of lost my train of thought. Someone get me back on track. Maybe I hit everything.
I mean, you kind of hit everything on the head. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the
Well,
question answered.
I will say this, Spicy. When I was active, and when you and with you now, it's completely different. Because when I was active, I had an AED with me.
Yeah, we definitely have AEDs. It's just we can't take them. We don't have the room, the space because of all this other equipment that we have.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
going to be more of a truck item, and even then, I'm playing God out here. Like, if we're in a firefight and this dude's fucking heart stopped beating, fuck him. He's gonna have to die. I gotta get my gun up. I gotta deal with the guy who got shot in the arm because in that moment he is still capable of
yeah.
shooting back at the enemy, whereas the guy whose heart is stopped is incapable. You know, accuracy by volume, that type shit, right? Like,
yeah.
Damn.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I lived it for 10 years.
yeah,
It's like, but like, I had the portable AED on me. Like, I was most of the time I wasn't in a vehicle, and I needed to have that with me.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like IRL. It's you go for the one that's least that's going to provide the most support to finish the fight.
at least
Somebody
when you're
shot-
in the shit.
Yeah.
When you're out of
And-
the shit, like, it's roles reverse. When you're in the shit, that, like, you don't worry about your immediates and stuff like that. You worry about your most minimally
Yeah, it's where triage
injured.
actually comes in play.
Yeah.
And like with Arma, we've got, depending on how serious the injuries are, we've got 5 minutes to let this person sit there.
Yeah.
But then that's no fun for the person sitting there looking at a black screen.
Yeah, that's why I'm typically on top of a casualty ASAP. Like, you know, I know I can't treat it like real life and like, yo, we're getting
Yeah.
shot at. Fuck that guy. Like, it's us or them, man.
Yeah, it's like when I overhauled the cornerman, I did my best to model it the best I could IRL, but I also had to fit it for the game.
Sake of fun for everybody else and stuff like that. I get
Yeah.
that.
So it's like
Nature of the beast.
Yeah, if I had it my way, Spicy, we'd be doing it just the way we did it IRL.
Yeah.
2 corpsmen for the whole company. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a corpsman per platoon, and then you have your headquarters.
Yeah.
So yeah, we we're supposed to have 4 medics per company for us, but we're so severely undermanned. They only get 2 for the line, so 1 HQ, 1 for the platoons.
Yeah. Maybe that should just be a. I guess that comes into maybe a good talking point is seeing, the bringing about of CLS to the unit whenever NAP gets that finished up, and then introducing that out, and then basically treating the corpsmen a lot more sparingly than just having them as like mass roaming medical elements.
Mm.
But that'll have to come with like time and training and seeing how the unit adjusts to it, because words are great. It's just the execution of it is where it really matters.
I mean,
My
plan never
idea of
survives first
CLS,
contact.
Like the guys, like not every infantry guy needs to be CLS squad. Maybe like only leadership or whatever, if they want to be. But those guys that are CLS squad, they'd only have access to like stitching and like area management stuff, and that's like it.
So
Because that's what I feel like what you really need to stabilize someone, and that's when you give corpsmen more opportunities to go to the more fucked up dudes.
the way Nap presented it to me was, it would be only for the people who absolutely wanted to do it.
That's the thing. We're not the army. We're not the real military. Like you
Yeah.
can sit here and tell somebody to do it all day, but at the end of the day, ooh, imaginary NJP. Like they don't have to do it if they don't want to. You know.
Yeah. So
You say that, but a lot of people have crashed out over imaginary NJPs. I'm just saying.
I personally would never, dude. Like
I'm glad you wouldn't, because we've experienced at least a couple dozen. So
like, and Spicy, I would also like to go to a more hardcore medical settings.
Mm.
But then that would pretty much,
start pissing more people off.
yeah. Like the settings we got now are like the prime settings.
I would love Cassivax, but people don't want to be knocked out for 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I still gotta get with soccer sometime to go over settings for the new update changes that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, you know, it'd be really funny, Yoshi. Is
Mhm.
if we were like, for the Cassavac thing, we asked for like volunteers. It's like, all right, who wants to get really fucking wounded and then be out for 20 minutes? Like, I don't know, if you need to go take a shit or something like that in like the next hour, just volunteer or whatever. That'd be kind of funny.
So my plan is people that want to do the CLS, I'm going to run it just like I do corpsman training, where we get to shoot each other and they work on each other.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Sounds reasonable.
I think having that pre-planned, injury as well is kind of actually beneficial for the quote-unquote role-play aspect. Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing that. Maybe actually start incorporating more realism in terms of like actual evac and stuff like that. As long as they're down to do it.
I mean, that was more of just a complete joke. But I mean, if someone wants to volunteer, I mean, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, because like when I do corpsman trainings, I have the corpsman shoot me.
Trust me,
that makes sense.
It's really interesting. It's entertaining to watch it through Zeus every now and then. To like, the infantry are training on tactics, having training on like vehicle movements and like bounding with Vix, and Tumas doing flight quals and practicing touch and goes and bombing runs. And I look over at Corpsman, they're just shooting the shit out of each other.
There's a pile of bodies over in the corner.
It's just like,
So
what the
much blue on
fuck?
blue.
There's just blood everywhere. And you're like, great,
Blowing each other up. Yeah.
And if you're
Well,
not
that
seeing each
goes-
other, y'all are just booling, dude. You're booling under the fucking canvas you got out there, which I think is funny. I dig it though. It's all part of it.
Cap shows up.
Um,
He's like, "What you guys doing? Mind your business, Cap." Okay, bye.
Yeah, none of you have ever said that to me, so good luck. But
Like when like Cyber would come by, mind your business, Cyber. We're doing corpsman shit.
oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
I told you. I know I told you corpsman shit.
I don't ask.
He just watches from
We're-
a distance.
We're about to really end it off here, genuinely, because we're a little over our time, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We're ending it off. I will say, only because this got brought up towards the end here. Spicy, what is your what are your thoughts on people who crash out over these fake NJPs and breaking rules and regs and shit like that? Like, what do you think about that kind of stuff? Your
Grow the
personal
fuck up,
thoughts?
dude. Like, I've been yelled at by 40-year-old fucking men because I'm wearing the wrong color socks, man. It's not that bad. Straight up, man.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah.
I've been smoked. Like, I've been threatened with an Article 15 before. I'm just a normal Joe in the army. At the end of the day, like, you're not in an actual military. You have no negative repercussions other than your online fucking personality. Just be a man, bro.
If only we had more like you. Oh well. Yeah, the amount of times that, obviously without outing any personal information of the unit members specifically, the amount of times that we've probably dealt with really outstandingly insane scenarios is, I'd say, maybe 20 total. A good 20 crash outs in total. like genuinely human beings who freak the fuck out, fuck you, I'm not doing this is bullshit, this is fucking corruption, this is America. I've heard that was a crazy one. Fucking I'm a fucking American, I could do and say whatever I want. It's like, yes, you're not in here, goodbye. It's like,
Yeah, you're not on fucking 45, dude. You've got an imaginary thing going on, man.
yeah, it's not real. You just take the punishment, you do your thing, and you're good. But
Like, how does that even
everybody's
work?
different.
Do you make them do in-game PT, like you in-game smoke them
No.
or something?
No.
Usually
It's something we could do, but it's there's nothing constructive out of it. So if it's something stupidly minute, it's just a warning. So the NJP, the paper itself is hey, you're being NJP, this is a verbal warning. So a verbal counseling, but it's a NJP, right? And then some people make them write 100 words why you shouldn't be a fucking shitbag, or oh, you have to take attendance for all of next weekend and make sure it's accurate. Really small, minute stuff.
That's not shit, dude. I
Yeah,
had a fucking
nothing.
medic in our unit have to write a
Nothing.
5,000-word essay on what accountability and timeliness means for the army.
I don't think a single person in the whole unit's history has ever had to write more than 450 words.
Silva, if he would have fucking done it.
Well, it was 250 plus 250, wasn't it?
No,
200?
I think it became 500 plus 250 or something like that.
Let me
Just
look.
fucking
'cause
run it through ChatGPT.
I don't
dude.
remember, but it was more than
'cause I-
400.
I wrote something to
All right, well, without going super in depth about it, right? Just the aspect of the whole thing is, to me, it's one of those there's rules and regs. It's there for a reason. The funnier part for people who join the unit is when you read the rules and regs, whenever you're bored, those rules were written because shit happened. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why they're there. The only reason it's not like we all got together and we're yeah, these are the scenarios we need to worry about. No. That shit that's happened that caused problems. So we put it on a fucking piece of paper. Oh man, but people have the holier, than thou mindset, and they're down with it until it's enforced on them. What is that? Rules for thee, but not for me, kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But, yeah, I'm glad you have the understanding, and yeah, it's people. People are people. But this has been an awesome discussion so far tonight, so I thank you for coming on, Spicy. But now we have to get over to this beautiful wheel of crayons. If you look over at Dub's stream here, we got to figure out who the next guest is going to be.
Yeah.
Spin that wheel.
Spicy, make a guess. Who do you think?
I think it's gonna be me again.
Hell yeah. Nope, you're not on the list anymore.
Oh, okay. Let's
Dang.
see. Let's look at. I'm gonna guess red.
Red. All right.
You try to take
My
Paladin
man
off
said no names, color.
Red concert. Red concert.
Redcon.
Okay.
there. You should probably take Paladin off there.
Oh yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, shitbag.
Shitbag.
Never
even messaged me why you got kicked or anything like that.
Damn, that's crazy.
I mean, it's like he knew.
Ace, make your pick.
Let's see. Venom.
All right, Yogi.
Any Ray. I think he'd be hilarious on here.
Oh man, Ray and his boats.
Oh my god.
So, oh, Ray, do you have any questions for us? Yeah, why don't we have any votes?
Yeah.
Fuck. White.
Let's go with Alex.
Alex. Okay, all right. Soccer.
Eves is gonna get on here eventually, right?
It'll
Gotta
be,
win. Gotta win big,
at
right?
some point.
It'll be Veeps eventually.
Didn't Veebs get picked? But you
No.
know, he's Australian, so
He's
he can't make it.
never been
No.
picked.
He's never been picked. He's been close like 3 times.
Lemon. You got Yosh.
I'm gonna keep my same 2 that I've had for a while, which is Charlie and Joe. Charlie or Joe.
All right, here we go.
Spin that wheel. Oh. Loan again?
Bruh, I swear that fucking
We-
thing was closer to Crusader than it was Alone.
Oh, fuck. Look at that. It's got a loan. Damn, nobody got it. All right.
LOA right now, though.
Oh, shit. He tunes in. He still
That's why-
tunes into the podcast, though.
He comes off Saturday.
Yeah, that's why we also got backups.
Yeah, I know.
Will this be the week Veeps gets picked? Probably not. Yeah, you're right, Veeps. Good guess.
Probably not.
You're demoted. All right. Now we got to find the backup. If it's not loan, bibbity bobbity hibbity hoppity. All right, come on. Let's see. Come on. Oh.
Damn near pick Lone all again.
Oh, Cobalt. 2 my boy.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Chili's. Alrighty then. With that being said, we've got the first winner, Lone, followed by the second backup guest being Cobalt for 2 weeks out from now, which will be the next podcast date of February 19th. Thank you all for tuning in for the 22nd episode of the Briefing Room podcast. We have been your lovely command staff along with our special guest, HR Spicy. Spicy, do you have any final comments that you want?
Join the army, but don't be some dumbass fucking cook. I hate the cooks, bro. Personal vendetta.
Oof. Tragic.
Oh, guys, look at this Veebs.
All right, you heard it from Spicy. Don't join the army. Join the Marine Corps. All right. With that being said, Rock Hill, eat babies, and fear the pack. Not beefs.
Give me more grunts.
God damn.
God damn.
That is tragic. That's
how it
just
works, huh?
fucking tragic.
Damn, Beebs, motherfucker. Born.
Beebs, you're demoted. You better subscribe right now, Beebs, or I'm coming for you, boy.
So yeah, everybody like, subscribe, whatever, and donate.
Like,
give me
subscribe,
more grunts.
donate. And with that being said, Rock Hilly babies, don't die.